Master Your Mindset Radio, Episode 3.
Welcome to Master Your Mindset Radio, the show where we empower you to conquer limiting beliefs and transform your world with your gifting and purpose. Now for your host, Elizabeth Nader.
Hi friends, welcome back. So pleased to have you with me. I want to talk to you today about something that's been on my mind, and let's call it our swipe up society. You know, I just am amazed at the growth of social media and how we're all adapting to the way that we receive information now. We are overloaded with information. At any given time, if you go to a restaurant or you're on the train or, waiting anywhere at a doctor's office, really almost everybody is on their cell phone. And you see them swiping up, right? Swiping up through different emails to look at them. If they're on social media, they're swiping up through posts, through pictures, through whatever it is. And that whole motion of swipe up has become really such an integral part of the way we do everything every day in our society. In fact, it's interesting, my kids, I watched when they were younger, not that many years ago, they would walk up to the TV, and this is before we had a smart TV, and they would touch it and try to swipe up or swipe sideways or do something to change the channel. It was so interesting. I was watching that and I thought, yeah, they think everything is swipeable. Everything should move with their finger. I just found that very funny watching them do that. And, and today it's even more so. We took care of one of our friends' 2-year-olds the other weekend, and I was sitting next to her showing her some pictures of her mom and dad because she was missing them, and we went to their Instagram account, and she was looking at the pictures, and she took her tiny little finger and put it on the screen, and she was swiping up and moving the Instagram feed up to see more pictures of her parents. And I looked at that little finger and how easily she swiped up, and I thought, wow, we've really trained them well. This is what we do. But here is the downside of this, and what just kind of struck me. We have so much information coming at us that we have to swipe, right? We just keep moving. And this is, of course, a new phenomena. It didn't used to be that way for those of us who, can remember growing up without any social media, without smartphones, without more than 4 TV stations, or, way back. Not that long ago, though. But when you think about the amount of information we had coming in back then in the 70s and the 80s, and it grew when cable TV came in, but it was more limited. And we were more intentional about the information that we chose to absorb because we could focus on one thing at a time more easily. So if we were watching the news, it was usually just one story. We didn't have scrolling on the bottom. That got introduced. I remember when 9/11 happened, I believe that's when cable news introduced the scrolling on the bottom of other stories. And it's just grown from there, where you're going to watch the news on TV and you'll have other multiple inputs coming at you, different windows popping up on the TV, things scrolling. But before that, it was one thing at a time. So you were absorbing information, really one piece of information at a time for the most part. And back then, it was a little bit easier to digest that information, decide what to do with it. Nowadays, we have so much coming at us, and we know that. And we know that it's a bit overwhelming. But what is the impact on us, really? And one way that I wanted to talk about is the fact that we have these aha moments where we see something or hear something that we like. And we go, wow, that's really cool. And we hit like, or we hit love, or we hit whatever on social media. And we just keep scrolling. We may make a comment, we may share it, and then we move on. But a lot of times it'll be something that is really impactful, maybe something to make us think, something that we could use to change our lives, a great idea or an insight. And we say, yep, we agree, or that's awesome. We scroll past it. We share it, maybe at the most, maybe make a comment, and we move on. And we do this sometimes probably, tens, 20s, 30 times a day, maybe 100 times a day, I don't know. But we do it a lot all day long. And it's created this phenomena, I think, where we just swipe up past things that could change our life. I mean, we have aha moments, but we don't stop and say, wow, that quote that I'm seeing right there, about, some kind of mindset thing or about a way to change my life or an insight or whatever it is, that's amazing. I'm going to do something about it. We don't stop. We stop long enough to underscore the fact that that's an insight that we agree with or an aha moment, but rarely do we stop there and say, let me absorb that. Rarely do we stop there and Selah, which is that word to think about it. Rarely do we stop there and say, let me camp on this idea and let me see where this is going to take me, or this is my thought for the week or the thought for the day, and then shut out everything else and begin to work on using that insight into changing our life. We tend not to do that. It would be a rare moment when we would do that because there's so much coming at us. We move on to another aha moment and another aha moment and another and another great thing that we see. And we become sort of motivational junkies, really, because we see all these things that are posted and we think, yep, that's true. That's true. Oh, that's a great insight. That's true. How often do we actually change our life? How often do we actually implement something that we see or that we read? How often do we use it to propel us forward? Or do we just move on to the next thing after we give it a like, after we give it a pause of, wow, that's great. Did you see this? Share it and say, this is truth. And then we move on. And we're the same person that we were before we saw it. We're the same person. So really the challenge is to all of us, because we are in this swipe up nation, swipe up society. It's how information is presented to us. I don't say that to condemn, because I do it just like you do. I don't say that to make us feel bad about it. I say that to make us intentional, to make us think about it, to make us say, all right, you know what I'm going to do this week? When I see something that I think is an aha moment, meaning, wow, that really moves me. I really needed to hear that. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to shut off the rest of my informational feed, and I'm going to sit and think about and meditate what I just saw or what I just read. I'm going to think about how it affects my life. I'm going to make an intentional decision on how to use that information in my life. I'm going to decide steps that I'm going to take and implement that will allow that aha moment to truly change me. And that's where we start to see the power of information help us. Information on its own is useless. And I've said this before, that knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Just having a bunch of knowledge and seeing all this information doesn't help us if we don't change. So in relation to the swipe up society, we need to either slow down the information coming in, which is probably not possible. So if we can't really stem the flow of information, then what do we do instead? What we do is we stop and we absorb and apply, as I talked about. So that is really what I want to leave you with, is think about and watch and look around you and notice how we are flipping through information at an incredible pace. And know that in there are gems, there are life-changing ideas. You know, one of the benefits of the internet is that we can distribute information so easily. It's what I do as a coach. My ability to impact people's lives, my ability to share with them encouragement and challenges and inspiration is so heightened by the fact that I can do this in social media, by text, using all this technology. So I welcome that. I embrace it because it's amazing. We couldn't have done that so many years ago, but it also has its downside. So be intentional. Think through what you do with information that you receive. Pick out something, at least maybe one per day or even something one per week, and put together a small but actionable plan on how you can use that information to change your life. That is when information truly becomes power for us. That is when knowledge actually becomes applied and actually can change our life. So that is my challenge to you, and I appreciate you spending this time with me, and I look forward to talking next time on Master Your Mindset Radio.
Thank you for listening to Master Your Mindset Radio. Before you go, if you want to be part of a free online community of like-minded individuals for support, resources, and inspiration as you conquer your limiting beliefs and pursue your purpose, go to elizabethnader.com/community. That's elizabethnader.com/community, or search for Master Your Mindset Academy private group on Facebook. Looking forward to seeing you online.